Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the sixth episode of the Tales from the Prick podcast. Here with me tonight, I have none other than the angel of death, Aidan Blackhart. Welcome to the podcast, man.
Hello, how are you doing today, Milton?
Oh, I'm pretty fucking good. COVID is, pain in the ass, but we try to drop out as much content as we can do. And the funny thing is, I do this mostly for the American people who tell me that I sound like an American with Italian parents who immigrated in Little Italy. That's what people told me more than once because they say my English is good, but I still have a pretty strong Italian accent. So, how you doing then, man?
I'm very well. I'm very well. I've been, kicking it, doing my YouTube, wrestling here and there when I can, hanging out with the family, spending a lot of time playing bass.
All right, bassists are the best. I've always wanted to be a drummer, but bassists are way better than guitarists, is my own honest opinion. Always been. Cliff Borden was better than Kirk Hammett since day one.
For sure. Bass controls the song.
Yeah, because many people may don't know it, but Aidan Blackhart is also a musician, but is also a musician, but is a deathmatch wrestler and is one tough son of a bitch. So
Thank you.
it's gonna be a fun one today, a funny one today. The first question I want to ask you is, you faced Akira 2 times this year. First time in IWA Deep South, it was a belter, and the second one in ICW No Holds Barred inside of the pit, and it was another very good match. And two things about this, which are two separate questions, but you can integrate into one. First one is, you think there is room for a rubber match, because in the first one you beat him, and in the second one he pulls up the victory. That's the first question.
There's definitely going to be a rubber match between me and Akira. It hasn't been planned yet, but I definitely see it happening with the story that life put before me and Akira and the way everything's happened. It's just like you said, I faced him in February for Deep South and beat him, and then he went and faced everybody in deathmatch wrestling. He faced Tremont, Cologne, I'm spacing. He's faced Alex Ocean, I think. A little bit of everyone. Rode with the Rejects, fought John Wayne Murdoch, and he's leveled up and gotten better every time he's had one. Every match I've just mentioned, every person he's wrestled, he learned something from them, and he got the one up on me at ICW No Holds Barred in the pit fighter. And that match, honestly, like, I could see just how stronger he's gotten and just how much he's grown as a person, and just since the pandemic started till now.
Yeah, that's pretty funny because it's not the only one that actually gained so fucking much popularity, because there was another one man that did this. I interviewed in episode 3. That man is Neil Diamond Cutter, and it's mind-blowing how things have have gone in this 2020. It's been shit for some things. Well, for most of the things, no audience wrestling shows, some shows canceled, and we unfortunately didn't have the collective before October. But it has been a really crazy year, in my opinion. One of the best years in deathmatch wrestling, probably in a long time. And what mind blowed me as well was the fact that even though you're one tough son of a bitch, you unfortunately don't have the same momentum that Akira has gained this year. But it really made me smile in a positive way when it told you that if it wasn't for you, you wouldn't have met the Rejects. For those who don't know, Reed Bentley and John Wayne Murdoch. So how did this story went? Like how this, knowing thing went?
So the comment about the rejects, what he means is Akira would not be a reject without me because I introduced him to Murdoch and Reed Bentley. The rejects met each other outside of me before I ever met them. That's their own thing. But because I introduced them and they bonded so well, Akira said, if it wasn't for Aidan Blackhart, no rejects, as in Akira not being a reject. Sometimes when you're out of breath and you have a lot to say, you don't say every single point you need to make. So he kind of, so a couple people are saying, like, asked if I'm a reject now or if I started the rejects, which no, that's not the case. I didn't start them. I can't take any credit for that. But what happened is Murdoch called me and said, "Hey, you want to go to Mexico and wrestle for NGX?"
Yeah,
And
I know that promotion. There was a really famous match between I think Lufisto and Joliter from that promotion, if I can remember correctly.
Yep. And then Akira was standing right next to me. We were in New Jersey, and then I looked at him and said, "Hey, you want to go to Mexico?" And he said, "Yeah." That's a big problem with a lot of wrestlers is you call them up or you message them and you say, "Hey, I have a spot in the car. Come get in this. Come go on this road trip and come to these shows." And for several reasons they can't. But I knew Akira would be the man for the job, and he did it. And we get down to Mexico and have his first death match was for NGX. And beforehand, he's nervous. And Sickboy, who's a luchador in Mexico,
Yeah,
he
I know
doesn't
him.
speak very good English. After the match, he's looking at Akira and laughing and goes, "Before lucha, no death match, no death match. After lucha, I love death match. Fuck yes."
That is pretty funny. Sick Boy is, again, if I can remember correctly, is a regular in Zona 23, and is one of those outlaw mud shit wrestlers, But the another thing that blows my mind is luchadors actually maybe show up in AAA and then go back in the backyard for Zona 23, which is really I think this should be a thing as well in the United States. I would like to see, for example, Akira wrestling for let's say uh, maybe some really lost promotion, which it did actually before, but now is, let's say, it's mainstream right now. But Akira has been in the game for so many years. I would really like to see him fight. Yeah, 2 years. I would like to see him fight for let's say maybe even dark, with AEW, because AEW has been very open-minded about wrestlers in the independents, and then maybe watch him fight in the still in IWA Deep South or IWA Mid South, ICW No Holds Barred. That would be really cool. I think United States, in my honest opinion, should have the same mentality, same hard-working mentality of Mexican lucha libre. Well, of course, there is some hard work in American professional wrestling, but I think people should be more open-minded about this. I would really like to see that. Akira will totally kill it everywhere. And talking about, again, IWA Deep South, your nickname, the Angel of Death, probably comes from winning the 2019 edition of the tournament, which I think was the first, right?
Yep, the very first one. I'm the first. I'm the first winner of the Deep South Angel of Death. I don't announce myself as Angel of Death unless I'm in Deep South. Like I usually just go by the Clout Daddy.
All right, that's a pretty fucking good nickname as well. And That show went famous for the Kevin Brennan shoot style baby quote, who actually gave the name to another tournament, which was won by Akira. Akira
Yep.
is everywhere in this interview. Uh, and most people talk shit about that tournament, mostly because Kevin Brennan has been, built as a racist, more for that than for having, uh, like, I don't like to say this because I want to respect everyone, but shitty performers in it, like people who maybe couldn't actually work a proper match. That's just what people said. But as the winner of the tournament, and as far as I like to hear about everyone, what was your experience with that tournament and with IWA Deep South, in which you are pretty much a regular?
That tournament, parts of it were kind of made me scratch my head and said like, "Oh shit, this is crazy." They had like little nails on boards. I got slammed through that and had nails stabbed all the way into my arm and my hand. Some of that shit got pretty crazy, and like the power sander and stuff like that. Um, as far as Kevin being a racist, like actually, me at that show, me and him sat down and talked about that for a while, and he said, and you got to understand, this is a white guy standing next to a white guy in the middle of nowhere, Georgia, and he's just sitting there, talking about how he has friends and family that are color of multiple races. I don't want to say colored, and he has friends and family of multiple races, and just because he likes the rebel flag and all that other shit that people think he's a racist. I don't agree with the rebel flag myself, but where I'm from Kentucky, I kind of know a lot of people that aren't racist but look at the flag a different way than I do. So I understand it. I don't agree with it. But Kevin's a good dude, and a lot of people like to talk about some of the guys that might not have been that good, but you have to give Kevin a pat on the back because he was giving them an opportunity nobody else was. He was also, I'm pretty sure that Matt Tremont won at least one Carnage Cup.
Yeah, Matt Tremont won pretty much every tournament in the books. Like, he's the most decorated death matcher in the United States for number of tournament won.
I think he's only won. I think he's won one. I could be wrong on that. And when he did one of his retirement promos, he had all of his. No, it wasn't a retirement promo. It was for when he was coming out to California for the first time. He had his Deep South and Mid South and all his different trophies and accomplishments behind him on the wall. And he said coming out to the West Coast was one place he had never done. And he gave props to Deep South. That's something he's proud of. And I think a lot of people forget the proud moments because it's easy to go, LOL, haha, that guy sucks, which is really sad because a lot of guys did some crazy shit. Rob Marsh and Schlack, that was one of the craziest matches I've ever seen either one of them have. That match was awesome. Neil Cutter and Chuck Stein at
it was the same show in which you faced Akira, if I can remember correctly.
I was trying to think of the name of it, Lethal Leap Year or something like that.
Yeah.
That match was really good. Herzog and Satujin. Then there's all the dated stuff. Like, a lot of it escapes my memory just because I either forgot or I haven't seen it. But a lot of the early stuff, Kevin Brandon was putting over guys that didn't have a place to work. Now that there's a deathmatch company in every state except for Kentucky, it's a little different.
Yeah, it's incredible that actually IWA Deep South was founded in 2005, and since then it has had like pretty much everyone in the deathmatch scene. I can remember a very awesome final of the Carnage Cup. I think it was 2006, There was Corporal Robinson, Necro Butcher, Insane Lane, and Drake Younger. Drake Younger is now refereeing WWE, and that really is mind blowing because um, uh, actually I don't like to put on the same page pro wrestlers and people outside of the ring because, for example, Dick Murdoch was told to be a KKK member, but I love personally love Dick Murdoch as a performer. I think is one of the best brawlers and maybe all around beaters in the history of professional wrestling. And even Terry Funk in his More Than Just Hardcore autobiography tells very good things about him. And Deep South actually did some pretty good stuff back in the day. And also right now, I think I watched the 2017 Carnage Cup, and there was a couple of encounters, especially the finals between Josh Crane and Dale Patrick's was a really good match, the 400 light tubes or some shit like that. And that was really good. So what I'm trying to say is this question, for those who are watching, this question was just because I want to know the point of view of someone who actually wrestled there. And always remember that the personal relationship that you have with a human being is not always the same as the one as the work relationship you have. Like in cinema, there was a pretty difficult time on the set. There is a film that I really like, which is Melancholia by Lars von Trier. I don't know if you know it.
No.
There's Kristen Dunst, the one from Spider-Man, Mary Jane from Spider-Man, and he had some issues. She had some issues with the director, but in the end, she even slapped him. But in the end, they had they they did a pretty awesome work. So work ethic and work, and then there is human relationship. There are some things that can work together, but they're not always connected, in my opinion.
I always use Shawn Michaels as an example for that.
Perfect one.
Before he got his life together, he was the biggest piece of shit in the world, and
100% agree.
A lot of those stories that people tell about him make me not want to like him as a wrestler. And sometimes when I'm watching his matches, it's hard for me to not think of that stuff. And once I realized that, I try to just not pay any attention to wrestlers' personal lives, the drama, any of that kind of stuff. I try to enjoy matches in little small doses and keep the rest of it away from me, just so I can love what I do, because every single person makes bad decisions. Every single person has something you can disagree with. And when you think about those things, you lose the art that you're trying to enjoy.
Yeah, I think the Dark Side of the Ring did a pretty, good job in putting on the plate the stories, the dark stories of professional wrestling, but they actually respected the game and those who were playing it. Like Abdullah the Butcher had that scandal with Hannibal, in which it was said that he contagion him with hepatitis. But the point is, it wasn't Abdullah the Butcher who gave Hannibal hepatitis that was interviewed. That was Abdullah the Butcher who actually fought against Bruiser Brody, some of the best brawls in the 80s in the WWC and WCCW, that shit. So that's always the same thing. Like when work and a human relationship come together, it's always the best. But as Shawn Michaels was my favorite wrestler, and now it's Jon Moxley, because I've known Jon Moxley. Jon Moxley is like God to me. I can.
When I was a kid, I used to love Bret Hart, but then I listened to his interviews, and he's such a whiny bitch. I can't stand him anymore.
Yeah, but I bet that you can't like being remain indifferent watching, for example, Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 12. Like I don't know, I don't know if it's your style, but it's your kind of pro wrestling. But it's obvious that is pretty fucking good pro wrestling.
Very much. And like, I think if you put their matches next to each other, just the match, Bret Hart's usually has a better match. But
Agreed.
there's a lot there's a lot more to the job of being a wrestler than having a match. My matches suck. I can't wrestle, but I act crazy and I do stupid shit, and people like me for that.
I tend to disagree with that. Like if I'm not a wrestler and I don't want to do like all those fans that are like, I don't like this move. This move should have done like this. You've never take a bump, you son of a bitch. You don't know how a match should be worked. I'm not trying to do that, but in my honest opinion, um, the only thing people could actually blame you for is your, I don't know how to say, you're not picture perfect. Like you don't do picture perfect things, but again, you're a brawler, you're a deathmatcher. You're not supposed to do picture perfect things. Like you're not Yuko Miyamoto or Yuji Ito. You're not even Masashi Takeda. You do your thing. You work because you do your own thing. That's what it is.
Who is a wrestler, uh, just a pure wrestler that you're a big fan of?
Uh, well, that's reversed. You're interviewing me. No
Yes,
problem.
there's a point. Just one wrestler, it'll be really quick. Name one wrestler you really like? No death match.
No deathmatch related. Brand Danielson, I think, is the goat.
Name 10 of his moves right now. Can you do it?
I think I can actually. The cattle mutilation, the flying headbutt, the label lock, the dragon suplex, Regal suplex. Well, it's William Regal, but anyway. Uh, multiple kicks. I don't know how they are called. The thing that he does with the elbow.
Okay, just the yes kicks. That's a big move of his, but like he does a lot of just regular kicks. That's not a signature move. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But my point is you don't need a shit ton of moves, and
I agree with that. Less is better in most of the cases, but you know.
when I sit back and think of the Undertaker, I don't think chokeslam, tombstone, old school, dive off the ropes, uh, a leg drop. I think throwing mankind off the Hell in the Cell. I think uh, sitting up and him looking at Brock Lesnar going. I think of stuff like that. I think
That
of
was
those awesome
awesome.
moments. When I was a kid at Ground Zero, I think of my heart skipping a beat when he throws his hands up and the lights come on. That scared me.
It was really good that I heard the Ground Zero and not the Bad Blood because I actually love the Bad Blood encounter, but Ground Zero is so fucking underrated. It's one great match.
My first live wrestling show.
My first one was, well, attending live was a WrestleMania Revenge Tour in 2007 main event. I think it was Edge versus Randy Orton versus John Cena. But unfortunately, I've never attended a WWE show live. Something that I don't want to do right now because if I have to pay like $800 a flight to go to fly to the USA and watch a show. I don't want to do with WWE. I would prefer like to go to GCW or ICW No Holds Barred, even AEW because I'm a really big fan of it. But the big point about this discussion was that not always do a shit ton of moves help you like build your character, and most of all, when I think about wrestlers that made themselves over just by doing two or three moves, I think about like Abdullah the Butcher and Bruiser Brody. Bruiser Brody had some really awesome encounters with Jumbo Tsuruta, for example, in All Japan Pro Wrestling. But it was so fucking over in WWC, and he just brawled and punched the living gal and kicked the living gal out of Abdullah the Butcher, who also did the fork spot went fucking iconic, and that blew my mind because
the best thing about Bruiser Brody's right here. He looked fucking crazy in those eyes.
Yeah, yes, the scars on his head that are fucking iconic. Man, another fucking star gone too soon. I don't know where he will have gone. Anyway, because we are talking about that, about previous great wrestlers, favorite wrestlers, and shit. That was a question that I actually prepared for you. Uh, who were your idols growing up? Like, which wrestlers are you actually looking up to when you are in the ring?
Um, that's a weird question as far as in the ring. I'll get to that in a second. As a kid growing up, I started watching right when the Attitude Era took off. I really like Stone Cold, the Hart Foundation. I really like Bret Hart, Mankind, Undertaker, the whole roster. It's kind of if you're my age, I'm 33, and you watched wrestling as a kid, it's really hard to pick one. If I had to, I'd say Stone Cold. I remember having an Austin 316 shirt, and that was like the greatest thing I owned as a kid back then, and got in a lot of trouble at school because of just doing silly promos on my friends and giving them stunners. And then when you start wrestling, you want to be a really good wrestler. So sometimes you start watching people that are really good, but they might not be good for you. So when I first when I first became a wrestler, I really started watching like Ric Flair and Bret Hart and a lot of technical guys. And took me a while to learn that my style is more about. I'm not a really good technical wrestler. I'm not a good move for move kind of guy. I do better with brawling, punching, and kicking, off the wall, obscure, crazy stuff. I'm kind of what's the word I'm looking for?
Well, as Onita used to say, you think outside of the box. Why just the ring? You just brawl.
Yeah.
Think outside of the box. With Onita actually did the show in the pool, the show in the middle of the sea. But that's some other things like you do. You think outside of the box because you just don't fight in the ring. The match with Akira in Adibadip South was for 19% fought outside of the square circle.
Yeah. That is a good point. Yeah, 90% of that match was outside of the ring. And then we got in the ring and did some wrestling at the end of it. A lot of times when I'm wrestling, it's like it's kind of like writing a song. When I'm playing my bass, I need someone to write a drum lick. I can't play the drums. I need someone to write a little melody on the guitar, and then I can listen to those two things, and then I get an idea. So a lot of times I go up to who I'm wrestling and ask them what's on their mind. What are they thinking about? Then they give me an idea, and then I take that idea and I add my little thing to it. So a lot of times I try to go in with my head as blank as I can, because every time I've gone to a show and I said I want to do this, 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 none of it happened, and I forgot all of it. So now I just try to go in there blank and not think about it as much as I can, just to try to make something new and different.
So basically, you were not you were into some characters, some professional wrestlers, but you ended up like I'm gonna do my own thing, and maybe just a supposition from me, just what I think. Watching your match with Akira, and I'm taking it as an example because that match, in my opinion, has pretty much everything, wrestling, brawling outside of the ring, deathmatch spots, etc. It reminded me a lot when you brawled outside of the ring of old Necro Butcher matches, like the bar fight with that I actually saw that in a match in Bloodfeast with Eric Ryan, the dog collar match, and you actually brawled and punched the living shit out of each other, and that was very Necro Butcher vibes. That was
Thank you. I have to give the hooligans credit for that. They told me to embrace the parts. They said embrace your inner Necro Butcher, and what they mean by that is embrace who you are. Necro Butcher didn't shave his head. He was bald and he let his hair grow out. He didn't cover his body up. He went out there without a shirt on. He didn't get big wrestling boots. He went out there barefoot. He looked at who he is and embraced who that is. Like, I don't like exercising. I don't like going to the gym. You're never going to see me huge. I do need to get in better shape and run better. I stopped smoking cigarettes because of my health. I started eating better because of my health, but I don't like lifting weights.
Yeah, so, like, finish it. I'm going to tell it in the end.
What I think a lot of people have to look at is what's best for me, because I do have other things that I'm managing and looking forward to besides wrestling, and I have to manage my time appropriately. If you're wanting to go to WWE or AEW, you should stay in the gym. You should live a different life. Like, I'm sitting here vaping and smoking dabs. Like, if you want to become the next WWE champion, you should be sitting around getting high at home playing video games all day like Aidan Blackhart.
Yeah, that is the thing that is really common in Italy, because Italian professional wrestling scene is filled with talented performers. Well, let's say workers, because I think performers doesn't do the job. But there are some of them who are like really gym rats, too much, and it makes me laugh when they're all, if you don't go to the gym, you're never gonna be someone. Well, tell New Jack, you fucking son of a bitch, you've never been. New Jack never went to the gym, and he wrestled good matches in Smoky Mountain Wrestling, XPW, and he did some crazy shit, and he's more over than you. And
I have a story real fast. I'm not going to say his name, but a very in-shape, buff wrestler that's been on some TVs. I've heard him in a locker room say, if you don't want to become the WWE champion and be the best in the world, then why the fuck are you here? Get out. And right now, I know for a fact my career's better than his, because he's not fucking wrestling, and I'm way happier of a person in and out of my skin than he is, because of all the shit that is going through right now. And I'm sitting here fucking happy because I'm living the life that I want to live and being a happy person. And it seems like that guy's a fucking tool.
Yeah. This reminds me a lot of what Big fucking Joe told me in the first episode. He told me that, for example, there was a war.
Big fucking Joe.
Yeah, that Big fucking Joe.
I love Big fucking Joe.
Wow, that's pretty much gay. Well, not, of course, there's nothing bad in it, but awesome. It will probably watch this, so I'm all for it. So, Big fucking Joe told me that in the United Kingdom there was this guy who portrayed a Native American character, and even though it was actually good in portraying it, I don't know, if the crowd is, well, I will do, I will like put two things on the same page. Like, you don't throw rocks at a man who owns a machine gun, as Roddy Piper used to say. Like, the crowd as the machine guns, you can't throw rocks at them. Like, yeah. if you're in a promotion who is mostly deathmatch based, you can't portray a Native American character unless you're gonna do some maybe stupid shit with your tomahawk, and I'm not talking about anal things or shit like that, But I think everyone can stay in a promotion and do interesting things with their character, but they have to be well written. And it's funny when people are all into, don't wrestle in jeans, don't wrestle in a shirt, and then they go out and people say, the crowd stay fucking silent, fucking crickets all around.
For me, for me, real fast, I used to wrestle in singlets and knee pads and boots, and I had a character that was a fitness guy, and I had a shake weight, and I came out to the ring talking about getting in shape, and I'm really fat, so everyone made fun of how fat I am.
Well, that would have worked, actually, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I was never happy. No one ever bought it. Like, I was playing a gimmick, and everyone knew I was playing a gimmick. It wasn't real. I put on clothes and start acting like a crazy guy and being myself and showing people my life and stuff. And now I get booked all over the place. I've wrestled all over the world. Oh, not over the world, all over the country and in Mexico. If I was the shake weight guy running around showing everybody how fat I am, trying to not be me, I'd still be wrestling in Indiana, and that's it.
Well, you can be something you're not, as Phil Anselmo used to say, actually. And I wanted to say something, but I totally forgot that. And I'm 23. That's pretty fucking bad. Anyway, gonna ask you this before the thing drops out in my mind. No, that's it. Before the last question, that's it. There was I'm into cinema a lot. Like, I'm into films a lot, so I tend to talk about that and wrestling at the same time. There is this critic who actually say that when you do a parody, the elements that are in your hands has to be like very near to what they really are, not in the parody. Like, if you do a Halloween parody, Michael Myers can't wear a fucking dancer dress because it's not funny. But if you see Michael Myers in his gear playing the guitar before killing someone, that will probably be you could actually sell it. And it was really funny to me, for example, watching Jeff Cannonball, just to drop out a name, doing his thing in the ring, like using his weight, his strength to make Neil Diamond Cutter his personal bitch, because Neil Diamond Cutter is way more thin than him. But in the same time, he portrayed his soda reviewer character, and that was really funny.
I brought him those sodas from Kentucky.
Oh yeah, you did? That was because of you, right? And it was really funny. I don't think it would have been the same thing if, like, Jeff Cannonball enters the ring in a dancer dress and start like dancing, which is something that Vince McMahon never fucking understood. Like, it blows my mind that he wanted to call Stone Cold Steve Austin Chili McFrost. Like, what the fuck are you thinking? Just because he's Texan, he doesn't have to portray a fucking, I don't know, SOS representative or BBQ representative. I don't fucking know. Yeah. And it was pretty sad when he made Hector Guerrero portray the gobbledygooker. That was fucking humiliating.
I thought the gobbledygooker was Terry Taylor.
I can't remember that. Probably the first one was Hector Guerrero, and then they changed it. I don't know.
Maybe, I'm not sure. I thought it was Terry Taylor. No, that's the Red Rooster.
That's the Red Rooster, yeah. Another thing that fucking blows my mind, that guy won the NWA World Championship and was portraying a ridiculous character in WWF at the time. Yes. Fucking humiliating. Fuck. And Last question that I want to ask you is not actually a question, but at the end of each interview, I'm curious to hear if the guest wants to call out someone, which doesn't have to be like very, intimidating, but who you want to face the most right now. Like, I use this spot to make people call out someone, so if they watch it, they know.
I want to come out and face Big Fucking Joe.
You want to face Big Fucking Joe? That's awesome.
2023.
2023, will it be like loser leaves town in a cage or something like that?
Loser swims home.
Losers win some. That's fucking genius, man. I would really like to see that. Shut up and take my money.
We'll both go to Italy and wrestle in Italy, and the loser has to swim home.
Well, that will be. I will totally book it. Well, they booked some fucking awful shit in Italy. Like, I was all about how IWA Deep South was shit for some performers, but then I think about there's a promotion. They're probably gonna kill me. Well, actually not. They don't fucking understand English, so fuck you. There is a promotion in Italy called TCW, and they did matches with light tubes, and they didn't even know how to build a fucking spot. Like, there was this fat guy, muscle bustering another very skinny guy into this shopping cart with all these light tubes, and I was like, oh my god, there were actually light tubes in our country. But then I saw it and I was like, oh my god, what Abdullah Kobayashi is going to say. Fuck's sake.
TCW.
That is Italian. That's the Italian version of the fuck you, yeah. I love it. I love you, man. That's what it is. Aidan Blackhart forever.
Do you watch Davey 504?
What?
On YouTube, do you watch Davey 504?
I've never heard of that. What it is?
He plays basso. He's Italian. I'll send you a link when we get off here.
Oh yeah, I will totally love it. So, thank for your time, man. That was a really funny interview, probably the funnier one since I've started. And for those who don't do it, fucking follow Aidan Blackhart. Is starting to get some serious momentum right now. He deserves it. And watch his matches against Akira. There's actually the match is actually online on Facebook, so you can't fucking miss it.
And YouTube also.
Take it to Murder Death Kill Club, and don't miss it. Watch his matches, support him, support Tales from the Prick, and see you next time. Say hi, Aidan.
Take it easy.